That's something kind of new since we last spoke, Josh, is that I've now seen an entire season of William Hartnell, which is like...
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, season 2.
Season 2, yeah. 39 lovely episodes.
Wow.
Yeah, he's the GOAT. I love him. I think he's great.
Yeah, he's great.
Getting into Twice Upon a Time later as well, it's interesting to have now watched the actual performance properly.
Well, I think that's the thing, like, with Twice Upon a Time is, like, for a lot of fans, like you guys right here, you know, this will be your first exposure to the First Doctor. So whatever you see on screen, you're like, that's what the First Doctor was like. So if they get the character slightly wrong, your perception of the character could be wrong as well.
I felt like he was slightly more subtle in his actual run.
You know, they always say the twinkle in the eye, but they're right. He has a sense of humor to the performance. And when he's being tough with people, it comes from a place of love, and he would do anything for these people. So, like, when he just comes across as a bit of an arsehole, it doesn't really make sense from my perception of the First Doctor.
It's like different people would view a Doctor, and it's like, that's how I guess Stephen saw it. And that's how he was like, this is how I see him. This is what I think he's like. This is how I think he would be written in this episode.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. And it's funny how you're right, though, because, like, that was, like, my first exposure to, like, the First Doctor. Pretty much. Obviously, I've seen little bits and pieces. So, like, that is kind of, like... But I did hear a lot of backlash about that's not how he would necessarily have been written. I don't know. Yeah. Different writers, different...
I think the thing with Moff, who we all love, is that he just gets a bit carried away with some of the humor and things like that. There's just another case of that where he's just like kind of trying to use the humor of like old sexist men and things like that, and just doesn't really come off that great.
Yeah, no,
because look, I think 60s Doctor Who could be sexist very often, and it was in the writing. But I don't think the First Doctor was necessarily written as a sexist.
No, not at all.
I think you could argue that the First Doctor's more of a racist than he is a sexist. Yeah. And I think, but I don't think that could be as funny as you can as, oh, look how sexist he used to be, haha. Yeah. And I think they were trying to critique the 60s sexism. And I think that's what he was doing. He was using the First Doctor to do it.
Exactly.
Because the moments they're referencing are things that did happen in his run. But out of context, it doesn't really work. The spring cleaning line is a reference to the Web Planet where Barbara says, we should do a spring clean of the TARDIS.
Right.
And it's her saying that. So that is a sexist thing for her character to say. But the Doctor didn't say it. Or the smacked bottom was a reference to something he said to Susan, his granddaughter, which is different between saying that's your granddaughter and to some random woman you just met.